We'll read the next item of business.
Water NSW Amendment Warragamba Dam Bill, introduction and second reading.
I call a member for Wallandilly.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that a bill be introduced for an Act to amend the Water NSW Act 2014 to repeal provisions relating to Warragamba Dam that allow for the temporary inundation of the national park land resulting from raising the dam wall, to authorise Water NSW to operate Warragamba Dam to facilitate downstream flood mitigation and for related purposes.
The question is that this bill now be introduced. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it.
Yeah, certainly do.
The ayes have it.
Speaker, certainly do.
I bring up the bill, an electronic copy of which has been provided to the clerk, and I move this bill now be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, in moving the Water NSW Amendment Warragamba Bill 2025, I hope to draw a distinction between the previously debated poor plans to raise the dam wall, but now to give rights to the use of the current dam for flood mitigation downstream. My bill for an Act to amend the Water NSW Act 2014 to repeal provisions relating to Warragamba Dam that previously allowed for the temporary inundation of national park land that could likely result in raising the dam wall, and to authorise Water NSW to operate Warragamba Dam to facilitate downstream flood mitigation and for related purposes. This bill is straightforward, yet an essential step to protect one of New South Wales' most iconic and sensitive natural assets, the Warragamba Dam and the Greater Blue Mountains World Heritage Area. Located 65 kilometres west of Sydney in a narrow gorge on the Warragamba River, the dam was built between 1942 and 1960, forming Lake Burragorang, Australia's largest urban water supply. It holds 4 times the volume of Sydney Harbour, serving nearly 4 million people, but its history it's not about water storage. It's about balancing human needs with environmental and cultural preservation. The proposal to raise the dam wall by 14 metres, pushed by the previous government, was deeply flawed. It promised flood mitigation but ignored the facts. 45% of floodwaters in the Hawkesbury-Nepean Valley come from tributaries and rivers downstream, not over the dam. As Premier Chris Minns stated in this House on the 30th of May 2023, the government will not be progressing with raising the Warragamba Dam wall by 14 metres. He highlighted the cost explosion from $690 million under Mike Baird to $2 billion for construction, plus $1 billion for offsets, and the lack of funding in the previous budget. More critically, raising the wall would inundate 4,700 hectares of World Heritage listed Blue Mountains National Park and destroy flora and fauna and over 1,200 Aboriginal sites and artefacts. For Gundagara traditional owners, this was a direct threat to their cultural heritage. When the plan was scrapped in October 23, Elder Kazan Brown in The Guardian said it was the best news in 8 years, and it lifted a big weight off our shoulders. While the announcement was welcomed, everyone called for lasting protections, like including Lake Burragorang in World Heritage listing. This bill answers that call by repealing Part 5A of the Water NSW Act 2014, introduced in 2018, which enabled temporary inundation of national parkland for wall raising. Sections like 64C and 64E mandated environmental plans tied to the destructive path, overriding National Parks and Wildlife Act safeguards. Repealing them ensures no future government can revive this terrible plan, as I described in my 7th of August 24 question to the Premier, where he committed to work with me on legislative changes. The International Union for Conservation of Nature warned in 2022 that raising the wall could place the Blue Mountains on the in danger list. It threatens species like the Regent honeyeater and the Camden white gum, flooding habitats with pristine ecosystem. Former Emergency Services Minister David Elliott's 2021 admission that it could release more land in the northwest for construction and development exposed the real motive. Enabling floodplain sprawl, contradicting assurances from Stewart heirs. The 2023 cancellation withdrew critical state infrastructure status, a smart move, but it was incomplete without this repeal. Yet repeal must not hinder safe operations or flood mitigation efforts downstream. The bill adds a new section authorising Water New South Wales to operate the Warragamba Dam as it is to facilitate flood mitigation downstream of the dam. This addresses IPART's licence restriction, which limits any mitigation outside Sydney's catchment. As the Parliamentary Research Services September 22 paper on operating Warragamba Dam for flood mitigation, current legal and regulatory barriers notes amendments are needed for flexibility. Inserting this into section 7.1 as a new clause L ensures lowering levels for flood prevention without wall raising or national park inundation. So to be clear, this would allow the gradual lowering of the water level ahead of a known event, flood event, to prevent huge inundation downstream during an event. At the moment, because of the previously mentioned IPART licensing restrictions, they are not allowed to take steps to mitigate because they are in Sydney catchment. Alternatives are viable and cheaper. Minister Rose Jackson's April 24 proposal to lower dam levels and boost desalination, doubling output to 30% of Sydney's needs, offers another practical path. In my 5th of November 25 letter to the Premier and Minister, I invited discussion at the dam and sought support for this bill, delivering on our shared commitments. This bill does that. It
Member for
protects
Watton
heritage.
I'm going to stop you there. In accordance with the standing and sessional orders, debate is interrupted for the consideration of general business orders of the day for bills. I set down the resumption of the second reading speech as an order of the day for another day. The clerk will read the first item of business.
General business orders of the day for bills. Number 4, Summary Offences Amendment Police Memorial Offences Bill, resumption of the interrupted debate.
And before I call the member for Penrith, I'd like to acknowledge